जय ओम विष्णुपाद परिहंसकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शीला प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य शीला प्रभुपाद की, नाम आचार्य शीला हरिदास ठाकुर की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Canto 3, the chapter 29, explanation of devotional service, and the text 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So text 5. Lokasya mitya bimatera chakshusas. Chiram prasuptasya tamasya nashraye. Shantasya karmasva anuvidaya dhiya. Tvam avirasasi kila yoga bhaskara. Lokasya mitya bimatera chakshusas. Chiram prasuptasya tamasya nashraye. Shantasya karma sva anuvidhaya dhiya. Tvam avirasi khila yoga bhaskara. Lokasya mitya bimatera chakshusas. Chiram prasuptasya tamasya anashraye. Shantasya karma sva anuvidhaya dhiya. Tvam avirasasi kila yoga bhaskara. Prabhuji. Lokasya mitya bimater chakshusa. Chiram prasuptasya tamasya nashraye. Shantasya karmasva anuvidhaya dhiya. Tvam avirasi kila yoga bhaskara. Lokasya mitya bimatera chakshusas. Chiram prasuptasya tamasya nashraye. Shantasya karma sva anuvidhaya dhiya. Tvam avirasi kila yoga bhaskara. Lokasya mitya bimatera chakshusa. Chiram prasuptasya anara. Shantasya karma sva anuvidaya diya. Tvam avirasi kila yoga bhaskara. Anyone? Lokasya mitya bhimatera chakshusas chiram prasuptasya namasanashraye shantasya karma svanuvidaya diya. Tvam avirasi kila yoga bhaskara. Mataji, you want to, anyone would like to? Lokasya mitya bhimatera chakshusas dhiram prasuptasya tamasya nanasraye Shantasya karma sva anuvidaya diya. Tvam avirasi kila yoga bhaskara. Word to word meaning? Lokasya, of the living entities. Mithya abhimate, deluded by false ego. Achakshusa, blind. Chiram, for a very long time. Prasuptasya, sleeping. Tamasi, in darkness. Anashraye, without shelter. Shantasya, fatigued. Karmasu, to material activities. Anuvidhaya, attached. Diya, with intelligence. Tvam, you. Avirasi, have appeared. Kila, indeed. Yoga, of the yoga system. Bhaskara, the sun. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, please repeat with me. My dear Lord, you are just like the sun. For you illuminate the darkness of the conditioned life of the living entities, because their eyes of knowledge are not open. They are sleeping eternally in the darkness without your shelter, and therefore they are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very fatigued. Purport, please listen. It appears that Srimati Devahuti, the glorious mother of Lord Kapila Deva, is very compassionate for the regrettable condition of people in general, who, not knowing the goal of life, are sleeping in the darkness of illusion. It is the general feeling of Vaishnava or devotee of the Lord that he should awaken them. Similarly, Devahuti is requesting her glorious son to illuminate the lives of the conditioned souls, so that their most regrettable conditioned life may be ended. The Lord is described herein as a Yoga Bhaskara, the son of the system of all yoga. Devahuti has already requested her glorious son to describe the Bhakti Yoga, and the Lord has described Bhakti Yoga as the ultimate yoga system. Bhakti Yoga is the sun-like illumination for delivering the conditioned souls, whose general condition is described here. They have no eyes to see their own interest. They do not know that the goal of life is not to increase the material necessities of existence, because the body will not exist more than a few years. The living entities are eternal, and they have their eternal need If one engages only in caring for the necessities of the body, not caring for eternal necessities of life, then he is part of a civilization whose advancement puts the living entity in the darkest region of ignorance. Sleeping in the darkest region, one does not get any refreshment, but rather gradually becomes fatigued. If he invents many processes to adjust his fatigued condition, but he fails and thus remains confused. The only path for mitigating this fatigue in the struggle for existence is the path of devotional service or the path of Krishna consciousness. Let's do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Krupa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So welcome once again. So we are continuing the chapter 29 from Canto 3. So we are continuing the conversation between Devahuti and Kapila Muni. So before discussing about the today's verse, we'll try to see what all the things they have discussed previously and where this fits into the overall discussion between Kapila Muni and Devahuti. So we all know this is 29th chapter. I think in the 25th or 26th chapter, this discussion was started between Kapila Muni and Devahuti. And Devahuti was asking Kapila Muni she was fed up with all the senses because these are materially involved in material activities, various sense pleasures. She wanted to come out of this material pleasures and entanglement, and she was asking her son Kapila Dev, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, to provide me the solution to come out of this material sufferings. So in that aspect, so the Kapila Muni started speaking to Devahuti. So the basic solution he has provided is Adhyatmic Yoga, which consists of 3 parts. One is Bhakti Yoga, second is Sankhya Jnana Yoga, and the third one is Dhyana Yoga. These are the various paths he described, but in that most important thing is Bhakti Yoga. If you remember, he started explaining Bhakti Yoga in brief, Kapila Muni, to Devahuti. In the beginning, it was mentioned that the Bhakti is the ultimate path to come out of this material entanglement. And what is involved in Bhakti? The one which mainly he emphasized in that verses is association with a sadhu. It was also described to sadhu's qualities. He is very compassionate, he is very merciful. So we need to find a sadhu's association and we need to do Bhakti. Then we will be able to progress, come out of this material miseries. So that was briefly explained. And later, now, if we simply say everyone to start Bhakti, it is not possible. Not everybody is willing to do, because among 8.4 million species of living entities, the different species, only human being is having the intelligence. So whenever you say anything to human being, he will not blindly accept. He will think, because that is the intelligence ability. Out of all other living entities, animals and other aquatics, whatever other living species are there, they don't have the intelligence. Human being is the one who is having the intelligence. So because of the intelligence, he will not straight away accept it. Okay, you need to do bhakti, but he wanted to understand the reason why we have to do. Unless he is convinced, he will not be able to do bhakti. That is the reason. So, not everybody. If you say anybody, whoever is coming to the temple, simply if you ask them to chant, they may not be able to do. They will do for some time, and they will not, unless they know the convinced with the reason why they have to do this, they will not be doing, right? So, that is the reason. Then, the Kapila Muni explained next, Jnana Yoga or the Sankhya Yoga. What is there in Sankhya Yoga? See, we are all living in this material world. How this material world is constituted, how it is formed. Well, we have discussed various verses related to the Sankhya Yoga previously. We will not go in detail, but in briefly, it mainly highlights how this material world is created. Like Supreme with the Purusha Avataras, the Mahavishnu is there. He is glancing the material nature, and then he integrates all the living entities into this material nature. And as the time introduced into that material nature, then various reactions happen. Then under the ignorance, different modes will start working. Under the ignorance mode, the various senses, sense objects, everything will be created. And with that, so the soul is under the influence of all these conditioned senses and the living entities. When the living entity gets those senses, he will be acting in the material entangled way. So that briefly he explained. So mainly the Sankhya Yoga is giving you the relation, establishing the connection between the soul, the Supreme Lord Super Soul, and this Prakriti, the material world. So this gives the knowledge why we are here, what is the relation with our surroundings, material world, and what is the connection with the Supreme Lord. This knowledge is giving. Then when you get this knowledge, some people will be attracted towards bhakti. Okay, I am the servant, I am the soul, I am the soul, Krishna is the super soul, our nature is to serve the super soul. That knowledge when we get with the Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, then they will be start involving in bhakti, some people. But some people may not directly agree, but some people, different paths are there, and people will start doing. Some people may follow yoga system. That is where the Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, the subsequent verses in the last few chapters, we have been discussing the Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga, the ultimate focus of the Dhyana Yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, is to meditate on four-handed Vishnu form who is sitting in our heart, super soul. That is our main objective of the Dhyana Yoga. Meditating on, seeing the super soul sitting inside our heart in four-handed form. But we cannot directly do that meditation. We cannot absorb in that meditation. For that, it has explained various angas of the Ashtanga Yoga. The 8 angas are there. That is where it has mentioned Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the various angas. The first few angas of the Ashtanga Yoga, it will control it. When you practice those angas, it will control your mind. It will bring your mind into the stable state. When your mind is in stable state, then you will be able to start meditating on Vishnu. So that is the process it was explained. So, but both Jnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, what is the happening here? So in the Sankhya Yoga, we only understood the connection with our Supreme Lord and the material world. In Dhyana Yoga, we are only able to see at the end of when you reach the perfection of the Dhyana Yoga, you will be able to only see the Paramatma sitting inside your heart. That is the end. But after that, what is next? Right? So, the basic idea of this is you have to come out of this material world. We have to come out of these sufferings. We have to come out of this repeated birth and death, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, right? So only you realize it when you follow Dhyana Yoga, you realize it that super soul is there sitting, and that's it. After that, still you are in the material world. You are not able to get out of this material world. What is the next? That is the Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate path. Even though do you Dhyana Yoga, even though you Sankhya Yoga, you have to reach to the stage of Bhakti Yoga. So when you reach this Dhyana Yoga and Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, with this, you will be able to, like the Brahma Bhuta state. I think even Adipurush Prabhu also was explaining few days back. So, when you reach only, you will understand the Brahma Bhuta state, where you will understand that you are not the body, you are the soul, and you know the connection with super soul. You will see everyone in the same consciousness. Like you will see everyone, every human being, every living entity, you see that soul is there inside. So, you consider him as every living being as a soul, and you will not have any desires, you will not lament for anything. This is the state Dhyana Yoga, but still you are not out of this material conditioned world. So in order to come out of this conditioned world, you need to do the bhakti. Ultimate path is bhakti. That is the Bhakti Yoga. So in this case, after explaining Sankhya Bhakti Yoga briefly, Sankhya Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, then Devahuti understood the importance of Bhakti Yoga. And then she was asking the reason, in this chapter, 29th chapter, from the first verse onwards, she was asking to explain the basic path of devotional service, how the path starts and where, how it progresses, how we can living entities progress in the devotion. That is what she was asking. In relation to that, she was asking the questions like, tell me about the repeated birth and death of the living entity. When we hear certain things, like how the living entity is undergoing repeated birth and death. When we know certain facts, when we will get more conviction that, okay, this is the repeated, this material world is full of repeated birth and death sufferings. When we hear these things, we try to come out of those sufferings, and when we look towards bhakti. So this is how she was asking. And the next, yesterday's verse, Devahuti was asking, impact of time on us. Like everything is time bound in this material world. So we have a class here, we have to finish by 8:45. After that, many of you going to work. Right? It's the material world is time bound. Everything is time. The time is representation of Supreme Lord. And in relation to that, in today's verse, the Devahuti is saying how conditioned nature is, the qualities of the conditioned living entity. What is the nature of our living entities in this material world? This is some of the qualities Devahuti was describing. Like their eyes of knowledge are not open. That they are sleeping eternally in the darkness without Krishna's shelter, and they are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of the material activities. These we will discuss in detail, but in summary, the qualities which were highlighted by Devahuti in this verse, the people are in the conditioned world, they closed their eyes. It means they are not having the real knowledge. And the next one, they are sleeping eternally without taking the shelter. Means they are in the sleeping is not, don't take the literal meaning of sleeping. They are in the ignorant condition. They are in the material world, ignorant, they don't have a knowledge, they are not seeing the real things. Rather, they are only some idea they formed, and based on that material idea, they are trying to fulfill their needs. This is how the Devahuti was explaining in today's verse, the conditioned nature, how is. And same thing, like these qualities we can also in the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto also mentioned, right? In the conditioned nature of the conditions living entities, like Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya Upaduta. In the first canto it was mentioned, right? Nature of the living entities, conditioned living entities. Like he was very dull-minded, very lazy, right? These are the qualities which was mentioned in first canto of Bhagavatam. Same thing in the similar line, Devahuti is mentioning in today's verse, the qualities of the living entities, the conditioned living entities. So, if you see that in the few more things we can discuss from this verses, from the verses, the compassionate nature of Devahuti, Mother Devahuti. So, if you see that in the translation, my dear Lord, you are just like the sun for illuminating the darkness of the conditioned life of living entities. Because their eyes of the knowledge are not open, they are sleeping eternally in the darkness without your shelter, and therefore they are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of their material activities. So, she is clearly thinking about the other living entities, that is the compassionate nature where Devahuti is exhibiting. If you see Devahuti, she is daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, is a devotee. And her husband is Kardama Muni, who also did tapasya for 10,000 years. He got darshan of Vishnu. And now, his son, her son, Devahuti's son is Kapila Devi, is the Supreme Lord. See, this is the connection of Devahuti. Though she expressed in the initial days she is materially conditioned and she wanted to come out of, that shows her humility. But here, she being a mother of the Supreme Lord, she is also feeling the motherlyhood nature she is expressing towards all the living entities in this material world. She was seeing the sufferings of all the living entities, and in this part verse, she is particularly saying that these people in this material world are ignorant, they are sleeping, they are not taking your shelter. Please give the solution how they can come out of this state. She is asking for the conditioned nature of the living entities she was asking in this verse. And if you see, this is one mother, since Devahuti is a mother, that motherly nature we can see that because of that motherhood nature, she's very compassionate to other living entities. Similarly, devotees, any devotees also, say very great senior devotees, elevated devotees, they are all always look for benefiting other people. The one of the important qualities, compassionate nature. Any devotee, great devotee, any senior devotee, anyone is in the path of devotion, they will all not only look for their own sadhana, but they will always try to help other living beings. They wanted to bring everyone into the connection with Krishna. That would be their nature. That is a compassionate nature. So here we see this one example from Devahuti, but we can also see other examples from Srimad Bhagavatam. Like we can say Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was in the family is completely full of demons. He was surrounded by full of demons. Still, he was continuing with the sadhana, his devotional practice. And his father sent him to Gurukul. Gurukul, all the demons were there. And the gurus are giving all the different, not Krishna Bhakti, but he started preaching all the demon kids to preaching the Bhakti. Even though his father stopped him, but he did not. He was continuing because of under his father's influence, he did not change his path. He was practicing his bhakti at the same time. Whenever he gets opportunity, he is trying to preach all other friends. And so, but finally, Lord Nrsimhadev appeared and he killed Hiranyakashipu. But when Nrsimhadev asked in benediction, Prahlad Maharaj, he did not ask for his liberation or his deliverance, but he was asking for the deliverance of his father and all the demons. Right? That is the compassionate nature of a devotee. Devotee not only look for himself, he will look for everyone. Like we can see in the example of Mother Devahuti, we can see the examples of Prahlad Maharaj. Even we can take multiple examples. Arjuna also, like initially he was in the confused state. He by the time we reach 10th chapter, Arjuna got convinced that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, we have to follow his instructions. He was glorifying Krishna, but still he wanted to reveal more and more knowledge for the benefit of all the human beings. Because of that, we are reading Bhagavad Gita now. Similarly, in Naimisharanya, sages are assembled and they were having the discussion with Sutta Goswami. They also asked so many questions for the benefit of mankind, the humanity. So this is where we can see the nature of the devotees. Not only that, if you see that these are all Bhagavatam, but when we see our material in the current world example, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to fulfill his spiritual master desire. And for that, he wanted to fulfill the spiritual master desire, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. What is his spiritual master desire? Preaching this, spreading this Krishna conscious Krishna's message into Western world. So he undergone so many difficulties, so many troubles, but he ignored all the pains and troubles and sufferings. But he crossed the ocean, he went in a cargo ship, and finally he started preaching Krishna consciousness into the Western world. So he has undergone so many difficulties. Similarly, many disciples of Srila Prabhupada also undergone. So many people were doing the Harinam, they were put in jail. And when many people are going book distribution, they will be attacked and they will be abused. Right? These are all things, but they are not bothered about all these things. Their only aim is to spread this message, bring everyone into the path of bhakti. Because this conditioned material world, living condition, and the living entities in this conditioned material world they are sleeping, they are ignorant. Whatever way possible, either book distribution, feeding prasadam, harinam. So whatever you do, bring them into the connection with Krishna. That is what all the devotees are doing. So this is like whatever all these efforts will what is making. So everyone is coming into the connection with bhakti, in the path of bhakti, coming to the path of Krishna consciousness with all these efforts, various, right from Prabhupada disciples, any other disciples, like our temple brahmacharis, everyone, they are going to Harinam, book distribution. What exactly they are doing? They are bringing all the conditioned living entities, they are planting the bhakti seed in them. They don't know that, but the seed is planted. But sometime it will grow, they will coming into the path of bhakti. That is what happening. So when whoever is coming into the path of bhakti under Krishna's cover, that's it. Krishna will take care. He doesn't see whether you are Indian, whether you are American, whether you are a poor, whether you are a male, whether you are a female. It doesn't see your qualification. Whoever is coming into the shelter of Krishna, he will help him to progress in your devotion, and he will take you back to the Godhead. So that is what the bhakti. So when you come to the bhakti, finally we will go back to you will come out of this material sufferings. That is what this verse is saying, that what is the solution for the conditioned living entities to come out of this material world. So this is the bhakti, is the path. With all these activities, the people will come into the path of bhakti. Finally, they will come out of this material miseries. And where they will go? In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Na tad bhasate suryo na shashanka na pavaka yadgatva nivartante taddama parama mama. So all these conditioned living entities who are in the path of bhakti, finally they go back to the Vaikuntha. There is no sun required, there is no moonlight required, no power required. So it is self-illuminated, and whoever went there, they will never come back. That's so you will never come back means you are going out of this material world to the spiritual abode of Vishnu, the Krishna, and you will never come back to this. Then you will not have this material sufferings. So the key aspect and the key point is whoever is coming into the shelter of Krishna, Krishna will take them back. When you follow the bhakti, they will take back. That is where in this verse they compared with the Yoga Bhaskara, the Surya, the sun. The Krishna is compared with the sun. What depends sun? When you every day morning sun rises. So after some time the sun, it will be temperature increases. Everyone wanted to, now it's a cold winter, and people wanted to come under the sunlight. They wanted to get the sunshine. But sun doesn't see. So not only for Sydney, many continents will come. All the continents will have the sunlight. Within the continent, many countries are there. Many states are there. Many cities, many villages, many towns. In all the population in this, they are able to get the sunlight. There is no discrimination, no partiality to the sun. Everyone, whoever is coming under his cover, they are getting the sunlight, sunshine, everything. Right? The same way, Krishna is also, whoever is coming under him, he will take you back to the Godhead. So the sun, if you have to get something, you don't need to pay any money or anything. Just you come. If you are hiding under the shelter inside the house, you will not see any sunlight. But when you go out to get the sunlight, sunshine, you have to go out of this house and stay outside. You stand up in the outside near park or any open area, then you will get the sunlight and the sunshine. Same way, you have to come under the Krishna's cover. But is everyone coming? Not everyone is able to come, because as we discussed, they are ignorant. They don't have the right knowledge. But they don't know the knowledge that Krishna is there. If you come under Krishna's shelter, you will be out of this material miseries, right? This knowledge is missing. Because we know that when you come under the cover of shelter of Krishna, the repeated birth and death, janma mrityu jara vyadhi, everything will be vanished. But people don't have the knowledge. So all the devotion, the devotees, the bhaktas, when they go outside, they will bring everyone into the shelter of Krishna. But meanwhile, until they get contact with the devotees, they are into the material world and they are fully entangled in this material activities. Like there is a philosophy was there in it's not a bhakti path, the Charvaka philosophy is there. What that Charvaka was mentioning, that this material world is like, there is nothing beyond this material world. So you enjoy this life fullest. Don't bother out after that what will happen. If you don't have a money, you get money from someone and borrow money and enjoy. This is the some philosophies was there in our current material world. Most of the people are following this Charvaka philosophy where you are not bothered about your. So what is the main drawback is they don't have the right knowledge, right? You are not the body, you are the soul. That key message is missing. When you are not the body, you are the, but they are identifying themselves as a body, right? When you identify yourself as a body, you start fulfilling your bodily needs. You are, okay, now it's a winter, so I need a warm clothes, I need a nice shelter. Nothing wrong, but focus is not that. Beyond the body, you are the soul. You keep the bodily requirements up to the point that it is taking care of your bodily needs, minimal needs. But your ultimate aim is you are the soul, spirit soul. Spirit soul is eternal. Its dharma is serving super soul. So you are missing all these points and you are deviating. So this is where the bhakti is helping them to come back to. When you are coming under the shelter of Krishna, like the sun, how is providing the sun rays, sunshine without discrimination, Krishna is also, whoever is coming under the path of bhakti, he will be taking care of them. So even Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya also, the similar thing mentioned. Krishna is compared like a sun. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andhakara, Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi, Mayara Adhikar. So the translation is this: Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, influence of external energy will immediately vanish. So this is what Chaitanya Charitamrita also saying. So Krishna is sunlight and the Maya is the illusion, darkness is the Maya. So when sunlight is there, there is no darkness, right? In our material example also. In the morning, it will be dark. But when the sun comes, you will not see dark. Same way, when you take Krishna conscious, Krishna's bhakti, you will not have any influence of Maya. So you will be able to progress in the path of bhakti. And even Bhakti Vinod Thakur also written his bhajans, right? Jiva jago, gaur chanda bole, kota nidra jayo maya, pisachara kole. So wake up the living entities. You are all conditioned living entities. You are sleeping. Sleeping in the sense you are in the ignorant condition. So wake up and take the shelter of Krishna. So not only in this verse it is mentioned, and in the various other references also from, we can see that we are in the conditioned worlds. To come out of this conditioned nature, only solution is bhakti. We have to take the path of bhakti, and then only you will be coming out of the sleeping condition where you don't know your real requirement. So only bhakti is the path. And another important thing is mentioned in this is fatigue, mentioned in this word. Like generally this word we use generally when we traveling. When we are going long distance driving, after driving for 2-3 hours, then what will happen? Like you will see on the highway also, you will see signboards, stop and revive, right? That is the reason why. Because when you drive continuously for 3 hours, 4 hours, because you are constantly focusing on the road and your body, mind will be tired. So sometimes because of the tiredness, you will not be able to make a decision very quickly, whether you need to change the lane, whether you should not change the lane. That decision ability will reduce, and that may lead to accident, right? So that's where the fatigue is generally we use in the material world. We use most of the times in the driving, when we are driving. Same way, the same thing is used here as well. In what context, right? So in the same context, we use in the conditioned living entity. How we can understand this fatigue in conditioned living entities? So we are in this material world. We are identifying ourselves as a body, and we are trying to fulfill our bodily needs. Like today I wanted a nice house. I got a house. Somehow I worked hard. I got a house. Then after getting the house, you wanted to have a big car, luxurious car. And you will have after work hard and get luxury car. And then after getting the luxurious car, okay, you wanted to go to nice holiday. Every quarter holidays, long weekend, you wanted to go to holidays, right? So like your one desire is fulfilled, other desire is coming. One desire is fulfilled, other desire is coming. You keep on accumulating and fulfilling the desires. At one stage, you feel tired. Though you don't want to do, but your desires are keep on pinging you. Though you will be like you lose the interest, you will be tired materially. But your mind will tell, okay, get up and try to work on to get fulfill this desire. That is how our mind works. This is what fatigueness explained, used in this context, right? So your material world, you can keep on accumulating the wealth. You are trying to fulfill the desire. Like when you are going on highway, if you are experiencing fatigueness, you will have stop and revive. You take the rest area will be there where you will have take rest. You will revive and then you will stand. Same way, in this conditioned nature is having the fatigueness. How this fatigueness can be removed? You need to approach our temples. And it's a coincidence like today is July 11th is ISKCON Inception Day. This is the day when Prabhupada in New York, ISKCON registered. One of the first, there are 7 purposes of ISKCON. One of the first purpose of the ISKCON, in the first statement it is mentioned, they systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large and to educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve the real unity and peace in the world. The word is the imbalance of values in life. We can apply here. This fatigueness is coming in, fatigue is coming in our life. Why? Because imbalance is there. We are keep on focusing on our fulfilling the material desires. Right? So we are keep on trying to fulfill our material desires.